Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 141, What is Your Truth? I want to defeat the Black Dragon and its hero. What is your true self? Recently, the handsome Dylan has mainly been going out to train. Trainers looking to challenge the gym are advised to come back in a few days. Friendly reminder, if you encounter the wild Dylan in the wild, there is a chance he will accept your challenge and reward you with a lovely gift Rota Gym notice board. Looking at the wooden sign standing in front of the Rota Gym, the bespectacled challenger had a dark expression. You get weekends off every week, and you still want to go out to play on weekdays? That's just too much. The bespectacled challenger cursed as he walked away, wondering what kind of team the wild Dylan would use if he encountered him in the wild. And a lovely gift sounds a bit enticing. Later, I'll share this news in the group to see if anyone encounters Dylan in the wild. If they do, they must challenge him. At this moment, Dylan was already on a plane to the Unova region with Lily, not worried about the gym at all. In fact, Dylan didn't just put up a notice board, he also sent out a notification through the official account of Rota Gym, which received quite a bit of criticism. But Dylan didn't care about that. Nothing was more important than his desire for the twin-tailed white dragon. Castelia City, the commercial and economic center of the Unova region, is known for its flying clouds which symbolize auspiciousness. As the commercial center of Unova, Castelia City is extremely developed, one of the most advanced cities in the world. Skyscrapers stand shoulder to shoulder with ordinary buildings, soaring into the clouds, creating a spectacular view. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Dylan and Lily finally disembarked from the plane and saw this modern city. Wow, this is so high, right? Lily took out her camera and took many photos, unable to suppress her adorable exclamations. It was her first time seeing such magnificent high-rise buildings. There were just so many of them here. Let's go, we'll probably need to rest here today. Lily's face was filled with joy as she squinted her smiling eyes and wrapped her arm around Dylan's. With her other hand, she dialed Amelia's number. Because she had turned on airplane mode on the plane, she saw her mother Amelia's message after getting connected. Hello mother, I was just on the plane. Yeah my brother brought me to the Unova region to play. Oh? Are you guys heading back to the Alola region? Lily paused for a moment, recalling that she had already spent over a month in Kanto. No, it had been more than a month. Time really flies, doesn't it? She had almost forgotten about it. Right, so I wanted to ask you, Lily, when do you plan to return to the Alola region? Amelia asked her while she was in Kanaz City with Ito. Lily's expression slightly changed, feeling conflicted. If it were before, she would have immediately returned to Alola without a second thought, as the Alola region was her hometown, where her real mother and brother were. She also wanted to stop her mother, Luzamon, from pursuing the dangerous idea of entering ultraspace. And she was also worried about her brother Gladion. She had no idea how he was doing. If you're not in a hurry, you can continue playing with Dylan. We're not in a rush to return to Alola, it's perfect to explore Hoenn. Amelia, noticing Lily's unease, said gently with a smile. Is Dylan taking good care of you? If he mistreats you, let your mother know, and I'll help teach him a lesson. Lily, you're our little princess. Dylan is actually quite attentive, but I'm not sure how well he takes care of girls. No, my brother treats me very well. Lily secretly glanced at Dylan, her delicate cheeks slightly blushing. If her brother heard that, it would be embarrassing. That's good. So how about we return to Alola in another month? Alright then. Lily hesitated but agreed. In another month. In another month, she would definitely return to Alola. By then, she would get her brother to go back with her. Surely he would find a way to make her mother wake up. Anyway, She was currently the goddaughter of her godfather and mother, so she could be considered half a Kanto person. Staying in Kanto a little longer wouldn't be a problem, right? Even if she was in Kanto, she would never forget Alola. Nor would she forget her mother and brother Gladion. That's right, she wasn't that kind of girl. Ugh, brother, this is so delicious. I've never had such tasty ice cream. Lily squinted her eyes, gently licking the ice cream in her hand, a look of satisfaction on her face, her golden ponytail swaying back and forth. Since they were out traveling, Lily wore a casual short-sleeved shirt and a short skirt, looking youthful and pure. Right? This Castelia ice cream is the most famous ice cream in the Unova region. So if you come to Unova, you definitely have to try it. Dylan said with a smile. The deliciousness of Castelia ice cream had even spread to other regions. But because of its fame, there's often a long line in front of the Castelia ice cream shop every day, making it not easy to get. Ugh, what a pity. I won't be able to eat this once I return to Kanto. Lily said, feeling a bit disappointed. Don't worry, I've already gotten their contact number. In the future, I'll have them airship it over. I promised Eileen I would bring some back for her too. Dylan said with a smile, noting that anything that can be solved with money isn't a problem. As long as one is willing to pay, Castelia ice cream could be shipped to Kanto. Before coming to Unova, Eileen had asked him to help bring some Castelia ice cream, but unfortunately, she couldn't come along these days. That must cost a lot, right? Lily hesitated. It's okay, it won't cost much. Besides, that old man's money is meant for us to use. He would love for us to spend more. If we don't spend it, his money will rot in the bank. Dylan replied casually. That old man's money had become just a number, there was no need to worry about it. Lily adorably stuck out her tongue. While her mother's Ether Foundation was also very wealthy, compared to her godfather, Let's go. It's not often that we're here, let's explore well. Okay. There are too many people on this road. Hold on to me tightly, don't get lost. Okay, brother. The girl tightly held her brother's hand, feeling a sense of security, while her other hand held the Castelia ice cream, feeling that her entire being was radiant. How happy this life is, so blissful. The afternoon passed quickly. Dylan and Lily finally arrived at a famous trendy restaurant to have dinner. Brother, where are we going tomorrow? After ordering, Lily asked Dylan. She didn't actually know the upcoming itinerary. She mainly knew her brother came to Unova for the true dragon god Reshiram, so strategies seemed unnecessary. Let's check out Iciris City tomorrow. Dylan pondered for a moment before speaking. Finding Reshiram should be simple, it should be in the Dragon Spiral Tower, as that was where Reshiram and Zekrom had been sealed 1,000 years ago. But at that moment, Dylan suddenly froze. Ugh, Hilda, I dreamt about that again last night. A melodious and crisp voice sounded mournfully and helplessly. Hilda? Dylan paused, what a coincidence. Dylan turned around and saw two girls sitting at a table behind him, but from Dylan's perspective, he could only see the girl who was speaking. But that was enough, it was a girl with a fair and pure face, wearing a fitted half-sleeve shirt, with her brown hair styled into two buns, leaving two strands that fell like twin tails. She was wearing yellow shorts and black tights that wrapped around her long, slender legs. This was Rosa from Black and White 2. And naturally, the girl sitting opposite Rosa was unmistakably the protagonist from Black and White, Hilda. What a surprise, encountering two heroines at once. Dylan's eyes flickered slightly, interesting. It seemed both of these girls were trainers and likely set out on their journey this year. I feel the same way, I don't know what that voice is about either. Hilda stirred the savory soup in her bowl with a spoon, propping her cheek up with one hand as she spoke, her tone laced with fatigue. It's too much. What does it mean to disturb our sleep every day? Don't they know that beautiful girls need plenty of sleep to grow? My dark circles have been getting worse lately. Rosa complained, looking quite wronged. No, your development is actually completely sufficient. Upon hearing this, Hilda's eyelids twitched as she glanced at her best friend Rosa, who had 2 lumps of fat pressing on the table, and couldn't help but tighten her lips, feeling a pang of jealousy. So infuriating. I don't know what Rosa has been eating since childhood. We're both 16, why is Rosa so much bigger than me? Every day, it's just questions like, what is your truth? What's your truth? I'm waiting for your answer, such nonsensical stuff. Who knows what truth is? I used to dream about so many delicious and fun things every day, but now I'm being disturbed by these mysterious questions daily. Hilda, do you think we might be cursed? No. I haven't even had a sweet romance yet, and I haven't become the champion of Unova. Rosa's mouth was like a machine gun, non-stop chatter, but by the end, she seemed to scare herself and looked anxious. No, it's impossible to be cursed. I think you should go see a brain doctor, you're such an idiot, Hilda said, a hint of disdain in her voice. Her best friend was usually so carefree, always coming up with bizarre ideas that made it hard for her to hold back. I don't know if Rosa is sending all her nutrients to her chest, otherwise, how could she always be so silly? Too much, Hilda. How can you call me stupid? Rosa pouted, quite indignant. That voice is either a ghost-type Pokemon playing tricks on us, or... Hilda rolled her eyes, too lazy to talk more with this big-chested fool. She looked down thoughtfully at the soup in her bowl. Recently, she had been traveling to continue her gym journey when one day, she suddenly heard a vague voice in her ear saying, "What is your truth?" Later, Rosa called her and said she had heard the same voice. After discussing, the 2 girls decided to meet in Driftvale City, and now the frequency of this voice was increasing. Could it be that legendary tale about nation building? Hilda's mind was sharp, recalling the legendary story she had heard. Hey! Hilda, look over there. That guy is so handsome and stylish. Suddenly, Hilda's thoughts were interrupted, and Rosa was nudging her arm, excitedly whispering. Hilda's lips twitched again. No, that's impossible. If that legend were true, she shouldn't be looking at this silly person unless the dragon god was blind. But Hilda still looked in the direction Rosa was pointing. After all, she was a girl. What caught her eye was a boy in black clothes and pants, with a clean aura. From the side, he indeed looked handsome. Right? He's my type. And he should be a trainer too. Then go ask for his contact information. Hilda felt a bit speechless but knew her sister was a master at talking big. She had probably said this countless times already. Rosa was about to say something but seemed to notice that the boy in black had turned his head toward them just then. Rosa immediately turned her head away and pretended to look elsewhere. Hilda rolled her eyes, then made eye contact with the boy, who smiled and nodded friendly. Hilda returned a polite smile and turned her head away. How is it? What's his front profile like? Rosa immediately leaned over to ask softly. He's very handsome. So? Hilda was genuinely amused. So you can't even look at the front profile after he turned? And you're still nagging me here. Dylan looked at the 2 girls whispering and chuckled, but just then, a vague androgynous voice came into his ear. Your truth, what is your truth? Dylan was taken aback. Just now, he was thinking about whether he should speed up because, judging from Rosa and Hilda's conversation, there was no doubt that Reshiram should be selecting its true hero. As the protagonists of the original story, it wasn't surprising that Hilda and Rosa were chosen by the White Dragon, as they certainly had that talent. But now, the White Dragon was looking for him? Wait, is this hero being selected randomly? Dylan was a bit shocked. He had just arrived in the Unova region this afternoon. Has Reshiram already noticed him? That's incredible. Meanwhile, in the northwest of the Unova region, in an ancient, weathered tower, a white dragon stone glowing faintly red lay quietly at the base of the tower. This one is not bad, this will is decent, this person. Forget it, let's change to another one. Sigh, when will someone come to find me in the tower? It's too difficult to search for heroes remotely. The ethereal, melodious, mysterious voice echoed, seemingly quite frustrated. I'll have to transmit more phrases to those 2 human girls tonight. Among these dozens of people, These two girls should have the best potential. That black dragon has been out for so long and has found such a strong hero. The mysterious voice was quite troubled. It didn't want to remain hidden, having awakened. How could it not want to leave this tower? But the key was that it couldn't find a suitable hero. Zekrom had found the strongest ideal hero throughout history, and its power was on par with Zekrom, meaning it could only compete based on the strength of both heroes. It needed to find a strong real hero, otherwise, if it went out, wouldn't it be beaten by the Black Dragon and its hero? No way, it could lose to anyone but the Black Dragon. If it couldn't find a suitable hero, it would rather not go out and continue sleeping. After all, as long as it doesn't come into the world, the fight with the Black Dragon hasn't even begun. Siletz continues searching for some humans with good qualifications, hoping to find a stronger one to deal with that annoying Black Dragon and its hero. The mysterious voice sent its consciousness out again to conduct its open selection. This human, TSK full of H-colored aura, no saving, just wait to die. This one won't do either. How could someone be scared to death by a little Yorkie? Humans nowadays are too useless. This human, strange, why does the aura feel so unusual? The mysterious voice fell into deep thought. After a moment, it cleared its throat and strived to make its voice sound even more mysterious and ethereal, repeating what it had said dozens or even hundreds of times during this time. What is your truth? What is your truth? Chapter 142, Who? What is your truth? Dylan, though puzzled as to why Reshiram found him so quickly, couldn't help but admire the white dragon's keen eye. That's right, choosing me is the right decision. I'll take you to beat Zekrom and N. All you need to do is cheer the whole way, and we'll effortlessly claim victory in this truth versus ideals battle. My truth? Of course, it's... Hey! White Dragon, are you still there? Where'd you go? Dylan pondered seriously for a moment, deciding to use his truth to attract the true dragon god. However, when he finally thought of some grand words to respond to the mysterious voice, he realized that Reshiram was completely gone, as if the voice of truth he had just heard was nothing but an illusion. Dylan fell into deep thought. Was this white dragon just messing around and leaving? Ha! Who's talking? Suddenly, Lily's surprised voice echoed. What's wrong, Lily? Dylan asked, startled. Brother, did you hear a voice just now? Lily looked around with a puzzled expression, speaking softly. What did you hear? Dylan's eye twitched, but he still held on to a sliver of hope. It was something like your truth, I think. I was just checking the route to Osiris City and didn't listen closely. Lily tilted her head in confusion, not noticing her brother's expression had turned blank. Well done, White Dragon. Lily is just a child. She's not even a trainer, and you're trying to mess with her? Dylan began to understand that something was off with this truthful white dragon, though he didn't know exactly why. After finishing their meal, Dylan and Lily paid the bill and left the restaurant, heading back to their hotel. Hey, handsome. However, they hadn't walked far before a cheerful voice called out from behind. Turning around, Dylan saw Rosa and Hilda, with Rosa energetically waving at him and Lily. Hello, may I help you? Dylan smiled politely and nodded at the two girls, then curiously asked. Although he was quite interested in getting to know the protagonists from the Black and White series, he didn't want to force an encounter. But now that the two had approached him, it seemed rather strange. Hi, I'm Rosa from Aspertia City. I just started my journey this year, and my goal is to become the Unova champion. Rosa was lively and cheerful, introducing herself with a bright smile. Hello, Mr. Dylan, and this lovely young lady. I'm Hilda from Novima Town, also a trainer who started my journey this year. Compared to Rosa, Hilda was more composed and spoke politely to Dylan and Lily. So, you've recognized me? Has my reputation already spread to Unova? Hearing Rosa and Hilda's introductions, Dylan understood that they must have found out about his status as a gym leader. But this was odd. Although the Rota gym was quite famous in Kanto, it shouldn't be known all the way in Unova. Let alone being recognized by someone on the street. Hee hee, someone actually posted about you online, Mr. Dylan, Rosa said mischievously, her laugh sounding adorable. Question mark. Dylan and Lily were taken aback. It's like this, we saw a post on the forum while we were eating. It was titled Chance Encounter with a Wild Rota Gym Leader, Dylan. Hilda blinked and took out her phone, explaining to Dylan. The post included an official photo of Dylan and some basic information about his preferred battle styles and Pokemon types. Hilda immediately recognized the young man dressed in black sitting at the table behind them as Dylan. With his handsome features and signature black clothing, he was quite recognizable. So, she and Rosa decided that it would be a missed opportunity not to say hello, especially since encountering a gym leader from Kanto in Unova was quite a rare occurrence. Dylan glanced at the phone, unable to resist twitching his mouth. The challengers in Kanto were getting more and more outrageous. He had just been out for a few days, and they had already posted a missing person notice in another region's forum? This brother? Lily was shocked but also found it amusing. It didn't really matter, if anything, it was increasing Dylan's fame in a different way. No problem. So, what brings you two here? Dylan smiled at Lily, then turned to Rosa and Hilda. Of course, we want to challenge you. Since you're here in Unova, don't you want to experience the authentic Unova challengers? Hee hee, let us show you the difference between trainers from Unova and Kanto, Rosa said, her expression becoming both bold and determined. There was no way they could let such a rare encounter with a Kanto gym leader go to waste. They had to seize this chance. Oh? Dylan raised an eyebrow. We've never left Unova before, so we're curious about gym leaders from other regions. Please give us a chance to learn from you, Mr. Dylan. Compared to the straightforward Rosa, Hilda was more mature and articulate. It's not impossible, but we just arrived in Unova today. What do you think, Lily? Or would you prefer to rest? Dylan didn't immediately agree, instead turning to Lily for her opinion. After all, he wasn't traveling alone and needed to consider his sister's feelings. It's fine. I'd love to see how strong the trainers in Unova are. Lily's eyes sparkled as she flashed a playful but reserved smile. Even though she was a bit tired, the thought of seeing Unova's challengers battle her brother was too tempting to pass up. Alright then, let's find an indoor battle arena. Dylan agreed, smiling warmly at Hilda and Rosa. This gym leader is so gentle. Both Rosa and Hilda had the same thought. Dylan's attentiveness to his companion showed he was a kind and considerate person. Who knows how strong he is, but he must be good if the people in Kanto are posting about him. With Rosa and Hilda leading the way, the four headed to an indoor battle arena, as it was already late and outdoor battles weren't convenient. So, who's up first, ladies? I should warn you, my badge won't be easy to earn. Dylan turned around to look at the two youthful and charming girls across from him, smiling as he spoke slowly. Ha! I just love challenging gyms with a bit of difficulty. Hilda, step aside. I'll go first and set an example for you. Rosa stretched her limbs, then forcefully pushed her best friend out of the challengers area, grinning widely. You better not mess this up, Hilda said, twitching her lips but still teasing her friend. Ha? Mess up? What nonsense are you talking about, Hilda? Rosa pouted. It was just a gym challenge, how hard could it be? Even if it was a gym leader from Kanto, there shouldn't be any issue. Could it be that the gyms in Kanto are somehow more prestigious than those in Unova? Gym leader Dylan, let me remind you not to underestimate us. You'd better give it your all, or I won't hold back. Rosa gripped a pokeball tightly, her smile radiant and her tone full of confidence. I see. I'll keep that in mind. Dylan raised an eyebrow and then held up 4 fingers on his left hand toward Rosa. Question mark. Rosa tilted her head in confusion. What did that mean? Actually, my gym currently offers 4 different type-based teams for challengers to face, plus a special team. However, that special team isn't quite convenient to use without the rotation gimmick. So, Miss Rosa, which of these 4 types would you like to challenge? Dylan explained in a gentle voice. Hearing this, both Rosa and Hilda were taken aback. But then they recalled that the Striaton gym had 3 different gym leaders for different types, which was somewhat similar. Then I'll choose the third one. Rosa thought for a moment and opted for the third option. The third one is the ghost type. You're in luck, Miss Rosa, Dylan chuckled softly. Ghost, huh, troublesome type. Rosa's delicate brows furrowed but soon relaxed as she grew eager for the challenge. It wasn't that troublesome, it was just a gym battle, after all. She could easily win this. Now, we'll begin the gym battle for the Rhoda badge. The match will be between gym leader Dylan and Miss Rosa. The battle rules are 3 versus 3. Gym leader Dylan will send out his Pokemon first, and he cannot switch them out. The first to have all 3 Pokemon unable to battle will lose. Let the battle begin. Lily raised her hand to announce the battle rules. Though her voice wasn't loud, it was clear enough for both Dylan and Rosa to hear. Now that the battle is starting, Miss Rosa, allow me to formally introduce myself. Dylan gracefully adjusted the collar of his shirt, a habit of his before every match. His unhurried and confident demeanor was captivating. My name is Dylan, the gym leader of Rhoda Gym, and I'm a multi-type trainer. Today, I'll be using ghost-type Pokemon to battle you. Are you familiar with ghost types? Dylan took out a Pokeball, his smile warm yet with a hint of mystery. Their battle techniques are unpredictable and varied. Even without overwhelming power, they can toy with their opponents effortlessly. Rosa scrunched her pretty face. His lines made him sound so impressive. It seemed like she'd need to get a bit more serious. Please experience it for yourself, Miss Rosa. Here's my first Pokemon. Dylan casually tossed the Pokeball in his hand. Mismagius, prepare for battle. In a flash of white light, a purple Pokemon floated in front of Dylan, its golden eyes gazing eerily at Rosa. It looked as if it was wearing a hat resembling a wizard's and had a slender body draped in what appeared to be a cloak, with 3 red gems embedded in it. It was the evolved form of Misdreavus, Mismagius. Beep Mismagius, Ghost-type, Magical Pokemon. Ability, Levitate. Moves, Perish Song, Shadow Ball, Mean Look, Pain Split, Protect, Hex, Will-O-Wisp, Curse, Destiny Bond. Description: feared for its mischief and ability to spread curses, Mismagius also whimsically uses runes to help humans. Reading the Pokédex entry, Hilda's pupils dilated slightly. Were those really Mismagius's usual moves? Rosa. Chapter 143. How strange. It seems like Rosa has her work cut out for her, Lily said, gazing at the quiet and rather shy-looking Mismagius. Lily, are you and Dylan a couple? Hilda asked curiously, as the two seemed very close. Plus, traveling all the way from Kanto to Unova together wasn't something normal friends would usually do. Ha? No. Lily was taken aback by the question, and her fair face immediately turned bright red. She shook her head vigorously, causing her golden ponytail to almost hit Hilda in the face. My brother is just my brother, not my boyfriend. I'm his stepsister, not his real sister, wait. Lily's speech became hurried and flustered, and she seemed unsure of what she was even saying. All right, I get it. Lily, calm down. There's no need to be embarrassed. Hilda said, trying to comfort the red-faced girl, worried that Lily might overheat if she blushed anymore. Ugh. I'm really not dating my brother, Lily whimpered, covering her face with her hands. Oh no, my brother's reputation. Meanwhile, on the battlefield. A pure ghost-type Mismagius, huh? Rosa tilted her head slightly. Being a pure ghost-type Pokemon, it was only weak to ghost and dark-type moves. In that case, you're up. Bizharp. Rosa quickly made her decision and boldly threw her first Pokeball. A flash of white light revealed a humanoid Pokemon landing on the ground and slowly straightening up, its cold gaze locking onto Mismagius. The Pokemon resembled a stern warrior, with blades on its head, limbs, and abdomen gleaming coldly, exuding an aloof aura. This was Bizharp, which had evolved from Ponyard. Beep Bizharp, Dark/Steel type, the Sword Blade Pokemon. Ability, Defiant. Moves: Night Slash, Slash, Pursuit, Taunt, Swords Dance, Scary Face, Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Egg Move. Description: a terrifying Pokemon that can slice its prey into two with its blades after several poniard have weakened it. What a fierce-looking Pokemon! Lily, having recovered a little, looked at the Pokédex entry and thought, this girl is really strong. She's just a rookie trainer who started traveling this year. Using Bisharp against Mismagius? Not a bad choice, Dylan nodded. Bisharp's typing had its advantages, despite being 4 times weak to fighting. It only had a few other weaknesses, including ground and fire. However, that won't matter. Heh, my Bisharp is really strong, Rosa said proudly. A naturally wicked ghost type like Mismagius is no match for me. Bisharp, use Swords Dance, Rosa commanded. Bisharp raised its arms and stood straight like a sharp blade, radiating an imposing aura. Swords Dance. It could significantly boost its attack. Mean look, Dylan said calmly, a faint smile on his face. Mismagius's golden eyes gleamed with an eerie light, and a shadowy aura enveloped Bisharp's silhouette. Under the effect of Mean Look, Bisharp could no longer be recalled. Mean Look? Really? Rosa was surprised. What kind of strategy was this? Bisharp's attack power was incredibly high after using Swords Dance. Moreover, Bisharp had Sucker Punch, a dark-type priority move that was effective against ghost types. Even if it was trapped by Mean Look, it didn't matter. As soon as Mismagius used an attacking move, Bisharp could strike first with Sucker Punch. Curse, Dylan continued, his tone as calm as ever. Bisharp, use Pursuit to stop it. Rosa's face tightened. With Bisharp trapped on the battlefield, being hit by Curse would be disastrous. She had to stop it. If she could defeat Mismagius, Mean Look would no longer have any effect. Bisharp's arm blade shone with dark energy as it rushed toward Mismagius, but Mismagius moved away and ascended faster, dodging Bisharp's attempt to strike. Seeing this, Rosa's expression darkened. The curse was going to land for sure. A sinister-looking nail appeared in front of Mismagius, emanating a foreboding aura. Clink. 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 The curse turned into a nail that slowly drove itself into Mismagius's body. Mismagius let out a pained yet delighted shriek, its golden eyes filled with pleasure. The curse. Gray energy rapidly shot from Mismagius toward Bisharp, seeping into its body. The next moment, Bisharp bent over in pain, enduring the first wave of the curse's effect. Bisharp! Rosa shouted in alarm. This was bad. Being cursed now was not good at all. Pain split. But Dylan's offensive didn't stop there. Mismagius began to glow with white light. Rosa's pupils contracted. No way, how could you do this? Just as the curse's effects subsided, white light spread from Bisharp, flowing into Mismagius as Pain Split took hold. Under Pain Split, Mismagius and Bisharp's health merged and was then divided evenly between them. But clearly, this Pain Split was simply Mismagius leeching Bisharp's health. Rosa gritted her teeth, but there was nothing she could do. Mismagius had the levitate ability and was much faster than Bisharp. If she didn't use Sucker Punch, Bisharp wouldn't be able to get close enough to attack Mismagius. So, is Mismagius going to attack now? Sucker Punch only worked if the opponent used an offensive move. Rosa kept her eyes on Mismagius, holding back and waiting for it to launch an attack. No need to stare at Mismagius like that, Rosa. Your Bisharp will use Sucker Punch, right? Dylan chuckled, addressing Rosa directly. Rosa was speechless, her mouth opening, but she didn't know how to respond. Don't worry. My Mismagius doesn't need to attack to defeat its opponent, so there's no point in waiting. Rosa's face was full of question marks. Mismagius, use Taunt. Mismagius let out a sharp, piercing laugh in the air, and mysterious waves began to emanate from it. A dark-type taunt. Visibly, Bisharp's previously cold gaze began to fill with anger, and its blade-like arms lifted, gleaming with a dark light. Wait. Bisharp, calm down. Rosa hurried to reassure Bizharp. Under the effect of taunt, Pokemon could only use attack moves and not status-altering ones. Rosa is completely suppressed. Hilda, who was watching the battle, couldn't help but frown at the scene. Is this Kanto gym leader really that strong? Rosa was no slouch, and her skills were formidable, but her ace, Bizharp, was being toyed with by Miss Magius. Not long after, the second wave of curse hit, and Bizharp groaned in pain once again. At this point, Bizharp was in bad shape, and Rosa knew she couldn't drag the battle on any longer. Bizharp, use pursuit. Rosa gritted her teeth and ordered Bizharp to attack. If it didn't act soon, Bizharp would be done for. Bizharp charged toward Miss Magius, but it was no use. Bizharp couldn't catch up to Miss Magius. To make things worse, Miss Magius even used taunt again, spurring Bizharp to chase it more aggressively. In the end, Bizharp eventually collapsed due to the curse on its way to pursue Miss Magius. Bizharp is unable to battle. Miss Magius wins. Hilda announced the result and couldn't help but glance at Dylan's Miss Magius. Throughout the entire match, Bizharp hadn't even touched Miss Magius, but Miss Magius had cleanly defeated Bizharp. And Miss Magius hadn't even used a single offensive move. Well. Rosa, do you now appreciate the charm of ghost types? Dylan said with a playful smile, looking at Rosa, whose face was tense. Rosa's face darkened upon hearing this. This guy. He won and still had the nerve to taunt her. Charm? What charm could there possibly be in such an annoying battle style? Humph. It's nothing special. I was just careless earlier. Rosa stubbornly refused to admit defeat. These were just underhanded tricks. A truly strong trainer wouldn't be afraid of them. Oh. So, Rosa, do you already have a strategy to deal with my Miss Magius? Dylan raised an eyebrow. Of course. Don't underestimate me. Rosa confidently puffed out her chest, her posture causing Lily and Hilda to both glance away slightly, surprised by her boldness. Then I look forward to it, Dylan smiled, gesturing for her to continue. Go, Reuniclus. Rosa once again dramatically threw out her second pokeball. These annoying tactics? They were meaningless in front of her Reuniclus. A flash of white light revealed a green Pokemon floating before Rosa. Its body was light green, entirely encased in a jelly-like membrane, giving it a rather cute appearance. This was Reuniclus, the final evolution of Solosis. Deep Reuniclus, Psychic type, Amplification Pokemon. Ability, Magic Guard. Moves, Hammer Arm, Psychic, Pain Split, Reflect, Light Screen, Protect, Recover, Shadow Ball. Description: using its psychic power, it manipulates its liquid arms to smash rocks. So it had Magic Guard, huh? No wonder Rosa chose a Pokemon with a disadvantageous typing. Lily looked at Reuniclus's information and understood Rosa's plan. It must be because of its Magic Guard ability, Dylan nodded. He didn't need to look at any data to know what Rosa was thinking. Magic Guard, the Pokemon is immune to all damage except direct attacks. That meant Reuniclus was completely immune to secondary effects like poison or curse. That's right. It can perfectly counter your evil curse. Rosa said proudly, lifting her chin. Without curse and with Reuniclus being adept at special attacks, along with its floating ability, it wouldn't have trouble dealing with Miss Magius. It was the perfect counter. She was sure she would win this time. Why was she calling curse evil again? Dylan found Rosa's attitude amusing. This girl really was quite cute. Alright then, let's see what you've got. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the four trainers, a mysterious consciousness was also watching them. These four seemed to be among the candidates. Once the result is decided, I'll guide one of them to come closer to the tower for observation. The mysterious entity pondered. It had no intention of casting a wide net, it was more interested in these two girls with exceptional willpower and potential, and the peculiar boy. How strange. Why couldn't it perceive the boy's inner self? It was as if something was obscuring him from view. No rush. If he could defeat that girl, it would invite him to the tower first. Observing from a distance wasn't as effective, but if he came close, it could gain a clearer understanding. What the entity didn't know was that its lack of malice had spared it from being torn apart by Necrozma's psychic powers. Chapter 144, Being a Bit Too Cryptic. The Poison-type gym gained a lot of fame, and then they introduced the Dark-type. Along with the Golden Legend mechanism in 3 different categories, this became known as the Vicious Gym, receiving widespread acclaim. Afterward, they introduced the Ghost-type, which earned the name Vicious Ghost Gym. Recently, they added Dragon-type Pokemon, and now the gym is considered the Vicious Dragon Ghost Gym. It's one of the must-challenge gyms for any adventurer traveling through Kanto. Hilda returned to the spectator seats and immediately jumped online to check the official Kanto website for information on the Rota Gym. And she was shocked. Every single title for the gym was anything but normal, yet it received widespread praise? Is there something wrong with the mental health of the trainers in Kanto? On the battlefield. Dylan and Rosa's battle was still ongoing, though thanks to the Magic Guard ability, Curse was rendered useless, but it wasn't a big deal. Parish Song began its preparation. Dark, ominous notes sank into Mismagius and Reuniclus. The countdown to doom had started. Rosa's face was tense, but it didn't matter. As long as she defeated Mismagius and recalled Reuniclus, she'd be fine. In the next moment, black shadows enveloped Reuniclus. Reuniclus could no longer be recalled normally. At the same time, Reuniclus's Shadow Ball hit Mismagius. However, Mismagius's special defense held up well enough that the attack was still manageable. Black musical notes began to appear on Mismagius and Reuniclus's bodies, a sign that the effects of the Parish Song were taking hold. Rosa commanded Reuniclus to launch a fierce assault. Under Reuniclus's barrage, Mismagius's condition began to deteriorate rapidly. But time was running out, and the Parish Song's markings on Reuniclus deepened. Rosa's fallen into the trap, Hilda sighed from the spectator's stand. The more Rosa rushed to defeat Mismagius, the closer she moved towards her own defeat. Having seen Mismagius's moves before, Hilda knew very well that Mismagius had a trump card. A calm and collected Rosa would have realized this too, but there was no time to stay calm. The Parish Song's timer was ticking, and Reuniclus didn't have much time left. Reuniclus, Shadow Ball. Rosa commanded decisively. A pitch-black Shadow Ball shot from Reuniclus toward Mismagius, hitting its target directly. Mismagius didn't dodge and took the full hit, collapsing to the ground unconscious. Come back, Reuniclus. Rosa breathed a sigh of relief and hurried to recall Reuniclus, but before she could finish speaking, a dark, eerie energy erupted from Mismagius's body, sinking into Reuniclus. Rosa's eyes widened. This was Destiny Bond? Reuniclus let out a pained cry before falling to the ground, knocked out and unable to continue battling. It was indeed Destiny Bond. Rosa gritted her teeth, glaring at her defeated Reuniclus. Arg! I just managed to take down Mismagius, and I don't even get to enjoy the victory. It seems you were too focused on the Parish Song, Dylan said, shaking his head with a wise yet gentle tone. Rosa's eye twitched, glaring at Dylan through gritted teeth. This cunning and devious man. As if Parish Song and mean look weren't enough, he had Destiny Bond prepared as well? What kind of gym leader does that? Dylan, I think it's a shame you're just a gym leader. You're too talented for that, Rosa said, a forced smile on her face. One must find contentment in life. I actually quite enjoy being a gym leader, Dylan replied with a polite smile. Rosa, cue the confused guy meme? Enjoy? How could he enjoy this? His joy comes from causing others pain. Challenging his gym probably takes years off someone's life. I worked so hard to defeat Mismagius, and then he just takes me out with Destiny Bond. Who can accept that? Superior. Unable to hold back any longer, Rosa called out her strongest Pokemon, her starter. With a flash of white light, a regal and elegant Superior raised its upper body, its gem-like eyes fixed on Dylan. This was Superior, the final evolution of Snivy, one of the Unova region's starter Pokemon. Wow, what a beautiful Pokemon! Lily's eyes lit up as she immediately pulled out her Pokédex to scan Superior. Deep Superior, the Regal Pokemon. Grass type. Ability, Overgrow moves, Frenzy Plant, Giga Drain, Leaf Blade, Slam, Mega Drain, Leech Seed, Magical Leaf, Synthesis, Egg Move. Description: Superior only fights seriously against strong opponents who show no fear despite its noble gaze. It looked strong. This Superior is Rosa's starter Pokemon and her strongest partner, Hilda whispered. So graceful and elegant, it's absolutely stunning. Lily was completely mesmerized by Superior's regal appearance. It was just so beautiful. Comparing it to the Decidueye from the Alola region or Kanto's Venusaur, there was no competition. Superior was in a league of its own. A well-raised Superior, Dylan commented after sizing it up. He couldn't help but nod in approval. As expected of Rosa, the protagonist of Black and White 2. Her ability to raise Pokemon was exceptional. This Superior was in peak condition and quite powerful. If this is your ace, then I'll prepare a strong opponent as well, Dylan said, still maintaining his polite demeanor as he threw out another Pokeball. Annihilate, get ready to battle. With a low, menacing growl, a wild-looking Pokemon with tangled white fur appeared in front of Dylan. Its blood-red eyes locked onto Superior, its gray and black body exuding a violent, primal energy. White fur twisted around its head like a mane, and dark cuffs wrapped around its wrists and ankles, giving it a feral appearance. This was Annihilate, the evolved form of Primeape that Dylan had recently captured. Deep Annihilate, Fighting/Ghost type. The Rage Monkey Pokemon. Ability, Defiant. Moves, Earthquake, Close Combat, Rage Fist, Outrage, Pursuit, Cross Chop, Swagger, Shadow Punch, Shadow Claw. Description: It condenses its deep-seated rage into its fists, its power reaching deep into an opponent's bones, crushing them. This Annihilate was strong. Hilda's eyes flickered with surprise as she read through Annihilate's data. Unlike Mismagius, Annihilate represented the opposite extreme. It was a powerhouse of pure offense. A fighting and ghost-type Annihilate? Rosa's expression grew serious. The oppressive aura from Annihilate was undeniable. This Annihilate was incredibly powerful. But Superior. Charge in with Leaf Blade. Without hesitation, Rosa commanded an aggressive attack. Superior let out a cool, elegant cry as its green form shot toward Annihilate. Despite being a serpent, its slithering movements were incredibly fast. Let it come, Dylan smiled faintly. Annihilate tilted its head slightly, watching the green serpent rush toward it. Superior closed in, raising its tail high, which glowed with the sharp green light of Leaf Blade, before slashing down toward Annihilate. A grass-type Leaf Blade. Cross Chop to block it. Annihilate raised its arms, crossing them to perform a fighting-type cross chop. Bang! Leaf Blade slammed heavily against Annihilate's crossed arms, the impact strong enough to crack the ground beneath it, but that was all it did. What? Rosa's eyes widened. Her Superior's stab Leaf Blade was just blocked like that? Even though Annihilate had taken some damage, it was minimal. Instead, the bloodlust in its eyes deepened. Rage +1. Grab it, Dylan ordered. The Annihilate swiftly grabbed Superior's tail with a reverse hand motion, holding it tightly in its grasp. Superior. Wrap around it. Rosa reacted quickly, immediately giving the command to Superior. Superior lunged forward, its snake-like body coiling several times around the Annihilate, tightly binding it and squeezing with force. It was like the legendary constriction of a python. The Annihilate let out an angry growl, its eyes flashing with a blood-red gleam as it struggled to break free from Superior's bind, but Superior resisted with all its strength. Rage X2. However, there was a difference in strength between the two. Superior's constriction was gradually being broken apart by the Annihilate, and Superior could no longer maintain its hold. Superior. Use Giga Drain. Rosa immediately commanded. A deep green light shone from Superior, and small green particles began to be drawn from the Annihilate into Superior's body. The grass-type move, Giga Drain. The Annihilate roared furiously, exerting great force to break free from Superior's bind. It then grabbed Superior with its right hand and started spinning it wildly. Rage X3. Under the intense dizziness, Superior had no way to resist. Its entire body was being swung around by the Annihilate like a windmill. Superior. Rosa's expression changed. Annihilate, Rage Fist, Dylan's lips curled into a smile. With a low growl, the Annihilate gathered its strength and slammed Superior into the ground. Boom! Superior was smashed heavily into the ground, pain surging through its body, causing it to tightly shut its eyes and whimper. Even though this wasn't a special move, the impact of being slammed to the ground was excruciating. But it wasn't over yet. The Annihilate clenched its left fist and raised it, a massive amount of eerie blue energy forming a field around it and surging into its body. A ghost-type Rage Fist. This was the Annihilate's signature move. In terms of game stats, this was a move that grew stronger the more the Annihilate was attacked. Its base power started at 50, but with each hit the Annihilate took, the power of Rage Fist increased by 50 points. Since Superior had just attacked the Annihilate 3 times, Rage Fist's power had increased by 150 points, making the total power 200 points. This was even more terrifying than moves like Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, or Frenzy Plant. Wait. Superior. Use Protect. As the Annihilate's aura grew more intense, Rosa urgently called out to Superior. But it was clear that the still reeling Superior had no time to use Protect. With a low, violent growl, the Annihilate unleashed a powerful punch, and a massive ghostly blue shockwave erupted. Rage Fist. Boom! The shockwave from Rage Fist struck Superior squarely, creating an explosive sound that echoed loudly. The fierce blast of energy surged like a storm. This. Rosa struggled to shield herself with her arm as her ponytail whipped in the wind. Her heart sank, such power. As the dust and wind settled, Superior lay collapsed in a large crater, though it hadn't completely lost its fighting ability. However, it was close to being knocked out. Superior had great defense, so Dylan wasn't surprised by this. Stomp. With one final stomp from the Annihilate, Superior fainted. Rosa bit her lip, looking at her fainted Superior, her eyes filled with confusion. Had she lost? She had lost to a wild gym leader she'd happened to meet, and the loss had been so decisive. How could this be? The girl named Rosa lowered her head, spiraling into self-doubt. Superior is unable to battle. Annihilate wins. Since all 3 of Rosa's Pokémon have been defeated, the winner of this battle is Gym Leader Dylan. Hilda announced the result of the battle, then walked over to the dazed Rosa. Well done, Dylan walked over to the Annihilate and patted its furry head in praise. The Annihilate tilted its head slightly, its blood-red eyes giving no hint of its current mood. How is it so strong? It doesn't make sense. Am I too weak? Rosa, are you okay? Hilda's lips curled slightly at Rosa's confused muttering, but she quickly straightened her expression, pretending to be concerned as she spoke to Rosa. Rosa? Seeing no response, Hilda grabbed Rosa's shoulders and shook her. Hilda? Hilda! Hilda! Rosa finally snapped out of it, her eyes slowly brightening before she suddenly burst into tears and threw herself into Hilda's arms. Oh no! Hilda! That guy's such a bully. Rosa wailed about her unfortunate encounter. There. It's okay. Hilda calmly patted her head, clearly used to this situation. Then Hilda, go get revenge for me. Ha? You can definitely beat him, right? Aren't you going to finish what I started? Rosa asked in confusion. Wasn't the plan for her to battle first, and then Hilda would take over? Rosa, why are you always so obsessed with fighting? Gym Leader Dylan and Miss Lily just arrived in Unova today. They haven't even had a chance to rest, and now you want to bother them with another battle? Hilda quickly distanced herself from Rosa and coughed, taking on a serious tone as she lectured her. Ha? Rosa looked puzzled. What ha? It's late, let's head back and get some sleep. Hilda said seriously. Challenge Dylan? No, Hilda didn't think today was the right day. Just as Dylan was about to approach the two of them, that mysterious, ethereal voice echoed in his ears once more. The truth. Your truth. Come, to Dragon Spiral Tower. Dylan paused, his expression becoming slightly odd. Why did it feel like this white dragon was being a bit too cryptic? Chapter 145, The World is the World. At some point, come to Kanto and try out the spinning attraction at my gym. It's different from the ones outside. At the entrance, Dylan smiled and said goodbye to the two girls. Sure, if we get the chance, we'll definitely give it a try. Hilda responded politely. Truth be told, she was genuinely intrigued by the spinning attraction at the Rota gym. It randomly selected an attribute, and Dylan would use whatever type was chosen. Pretty interesting, right? Meanwhile, the girl with the bun hairstyle beside Hilda was glaring at Dylan. Stare. Rosa, no need to stare at me like that. If fate allows, next time we battle, I won't use a ghost-type team against you. Dylan chuckled. Rosa really was an adorably stubborn one. TCH. You talk like I was scared of them. They're just inherently evil ghost types, Rosa pouted with disdain, but then quickly changed her tone. Are you serious though? A real man keeps his word. Of course. An unbreakable promise, as solid as a four-horse chariot, Dylan said with a faint smile. Yay! Ahem, then next time, you must witness my true strength. Rosa cheered excitedly but quickly regained her composure, coughing and addressing Dylan seriously. Alright, see you next time. Dylan smiled, waved goodbye to the two girls, and left with Lily. He's quite the impressive person. Watching Dylan and Lily's figures disappear from view, Hilda couldn't help but sigh. TCH next time, I'll definitely defeat him. No way am I leaving without a gym badge, Rosa huffed indignantly. And you, Hilda. You were terrible. You gave up without even trying, I'm so disappointed in you. Oh, go on. Do you think I'm as brainless as you are with that big chest of yours? Challenges require caution. Hilda rolled her eyes. Hey! Did you just insult me? You totally insulted me. No, I was complimenting your figure, Hilda said nonchalantly, changing the subject. After we finish challenging all the gyms in Unova, what do you say we take a trip to Kanto? Yes. I've been dying to see Kanto. Rosa's eyes lit up, easily distracted. Then let's pick up the pace. I only need 2 more badges to qualify for the Virtus Conference. Hee hee, what a coincidence, bestie. I need just 2 more as well. Once the Virtus Conference begins, I'll personally make sure you're knocked out. You can sit in the audience and watch me take on the Elite Four and Champion Alder. Ha ha ha, thanks a lot. The two girls continued chatting as they walked away, the epitome of rivals and close friends. The next day, Dylan and Lily woke up early and flew to Osiris City. Osiris City is located in the northwest of the Unova region, where the seasons change drastically. During the winter, thick snow blankets the city, transforming it into a white wonderland. Of course, Dylan didn't come to Osiris City for sightseeing, especially since it wasn't winter. He was here because this city is the closest to the Dragon Spiral Tower. After leaving Osiris City, Dylan and Lily flew north on Articuno. Before long, they spotted the ancient tower. We've arrived. Articuno landed as Dylan gazed at the ancient tower ahead, his eyes flickering with determination. Is this the place, big brother? The place where Res Hiram slumbers? Lily curiously looked around. Yes, this is it. Dylan seemed to hear the call even more clearly now. Come. I've been waiting for you. This white dragon would make a great fortune teller. Let's go, Lily. We're heading inside. Dylan and Lily crossed the bridge to the entrance of Dragon Spiral Tower and went inside. Dragon Spiral Tower is the oldest tower in the Unova region. No one knows who built it, but it's the most ancient structure in the region. The interior of the tower was filled with the weight of centuries, with collapsed pillars visible everywhere. Dylan paid little attention to this as he and Lily made their way toward the top. Lily, do you know the legend of Unova's founding? Dylan asked, perhaps to lighten the quiet atmosphere. Does Big Brother know? Lily thought for a moment. She had read up on some of it, but her knowledge wasn't complete. But that didn't matter. Her brother was knowledgeable and well-versed in the myths and legends of every region. Zekrom and Reshiram, the legendary dragon Pokemon, were once one being, Dylan began. According to legend, around 2,500 years ago, Unova was founded by twin brothers and a single dragon. The older brother sought truth, while the younger brother pursued ideals. As their goals diverged, so did their relationship, eventually leading to war. The dragon split into Reshiram, representing truth, and Zekrom, representing ideals. Hearing this, Lily couldn't help but feel sorrow. Differences in ideals had led to such a tragic outcome. But the war couldn't be won. Neither Reshiram nor Zekrom could defeat the other, and both exhausted themselves. The twin brothers, realizing their mistake, ended the conflict and restored peace. However, after the brothers passed away, their sons reignited the war. Enraged, Reshiram and Zekrom burned the country with fire and lightning, destroying their physical forms and turning into the light stone and the dark stone. By this time, Dylan and Lily had reached the top of the tower. Dylan looked around and continued. And according to legend, the light stone and dark stone rested here after that war. And awoke the black dragon, Zekrom, from this very place and took it with him. Dylan gently ran his hand along the tower's ancient walls, feeling the dust of time and the marks of history. Yes, N had awakened Zekrom here and taken it away. And today, it was Dylan's turn. Truth, what is your truth? A voice, neither male nor female, echoed clearly in Dylan's mind as the gaze of the truth dragon, Reshiram, focused on him. My truth? Dylan chuckled softly. Reshiram, don't you think you should come and experience it for yourself? Reshiram? Lily blinked in confusion, glancing around. Where was the white dragon? Why hadn't she heard it? The world is the world. This world, as it stands now, is undeniably real. I've always been able to clearly feel its existence. Its weight. I can carry it. Reshiram. The world is the world. This world, as it stands now, is undeniably real. I've always been able to clearly feel its existence. Its weight. I can carry it. Reshiram. Dylan's eyes scanned the surroundings. He didn't know exactly where Reshiram was at the moment, but there was no doubt Reshiram was here, somewhere in the tower. You brought me here, but can't you sense this? N's ideals, the things he pursues, are easily shattered. Dylan's voice echoed through the dragon spiral tower. Come with me, Reshiram. We'll be the best partners. I'll lead you to defeat the black dragon and its hero. We can show them clearly that their ideals can't surpass our reality. The tower remained silent. Besides the sound of Dylan's and Lily's breathing, nothing stirred. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Big Brother. Still no response. Lily tightly pressed her lips together, her eyes filled with concern as she gazed at Dylan. It seemed like he hadn't awakened the white dragon. The white dragon had no taste. Did I fail? Dylan furrowed his brow slightly. If he couldn't earn the white dragon's favor, then so be it. Time for Plan B. Necrozma, can you sense Reshiram's presence? I can. A deep, raspy telepathic voice echoed in Dylan's mind. It was Necrozma. Alright then, if it doesn't want to do this the easy way, we'll help it. Dylan smiled faintly. Initially, he'd planned to take Reshiram in a gentler manner, but if Reshiram was unwilling, it would just have to bear a bit of pain. Necro. Dylan took out the shrunken Ultra Ball hanging from his chest, preparing to let Necrozma bring Reshiram out. Suddenly, the entire dragon spiral tower began to shake violently. Big Brother? Let's get out of here. Lily quickly grabbed onto Dylan's arm to keep herself from falling. The tremors were intense. Necrozma. Dylan opened the Ultra Ball towards the nearby window, and the deep blue Necrozma appeared, tearing through the wall with a single claw. It then used its psychic powers to lift Dylan and Lily out of the tower. What's going on? Once they were on the ground, Dylan looked across the lake at the violently shaking tower. This was strange. It's beginning to awaken. The deep telepathic voice came again as the colorful parts on Necrozma's head began to flash. Awaken? Dylan raised an eyebrow upon hearing this. Could it be that things weren't going as he had thought? The tower continued to tremble, causing a large amount of dust to fall, making it seem as though the ancient structure was on the verge of collapse. Amid the dust, a bright red dragon energy shot straight up from the base of the tower, coming to rest above its peak. The light stone. Dylan stared at the radiant dragon stone. This was the form Reshiram had taken after its body was destroyed long ago. But now, its dragon body was beginning to reassemble. Roar! A clear and melodious dragon cry echoed through the sky as the lightstone expanded and transformed in flames. In the blink of an eye, a magnificent white dragon spread its wings and soared high. This is the legendary dragon god of truth, Reshiram. Lily stood in awe, staring at the snow-white dragon. My goodness, it was so beautiful. Its overall appearance was white, a fusion of a white bird and a large, winged western dragon. Its brilliant blue eyes were stunning, with long, flowing fur like clouds trailing behind its head. The entire body was covered in soft, feather-like white fur. Its face resembled that of a white wolf, with massive white wing claws extending from its sides, holy and divine. If the black dragon Zekrom was imposing and cool, then the white dragon Reshiram was elegant, noble, and grand. Lily had imagined what the white dragon might look like, but she never thought that the legendary Reshiram would be this breathtaking. This was a dragon-type legend, the dragon god of truth that had once burned kingdoms to ash with its flames. Reshiram's cry rang out once more. Its dragon cry was different from the fierce, rough cries of other dragon Pokémon. It was much more graceful and delicate. Reshiram's brilliant blue eyes turned toward Dylan on the ground, and with a single flap of its white wings, it was hovering above Dylan and Lily in an instant. At that moment, Reshiram's gaze was fixed solely on Dylan. Thud! The white dragon landed in front of Dylan. I have sensed your truth. A soft, androgynous telepathic voice rang out as the legendary white dragon gradually approached the boy in front of it. Dylan, I will ignite the path you build toward the real world, and I will give it my all. Reshiram stood in front of Dylan, lowering its head slightly, its brilliant blue eyes reflecting the image of the young man before it. One person and one dragon stared at each other, standing on the green grass, beside the blue lake, with the ancient dragon spiral tower in the background, forming a scene of perfect harmony. Lily covered her mouth, her eyes brimming with excitement as she gazed at the pair. She had known it all along. She had known that her brother wouldn't be rejected by the white dragon. Her brother had successfully awakened the true Reshiram. The world would change because of this day. Chapter 146, Do you even know who I am? We need to find a rival for Reshiram. Brother, you're so sneaky. In an unknown forest, a green-haired young man named N, wearing a cap, smiled gently as he fed a pansage. How peaceful. N gazed at the smiling pansage with its squinted eyes, feeling healed from within. Since their previous attempt to negotiate with Team Rocket in Kanto was disrupted by the Kanto League, Zekrom had taken N and Kulres back to Unova. Getsus was quite displeased with this turn of events but did not blame N too much. After all, it was Team Rocket's fault that the meeting location was discovered by the Kanto League. N was free to act after that. N. A deep voice echoed in N's mind. What is it, Zekrom? N was puzzled. Zekrom usually only contacted him in special situations. The white dragon has awakened. I can feel it, Zekrom said concisely. N's eyes flickered at the news. The real white dragon, has it finally awakened? He had been waiting for this moment for quite some time. Idealism and truth were completely different ideologies. Zekrom would aid the hero of ideals to create an ideal world, while Reshiram would support the hero of truth in constructing a world of truth. From the moment of their creation, the dragon of ideals and the dragon of truth have been in conflict, and so it has been throughout history. Whether by chance or fate, the heroes of ideals and truth would always clash and eventually meet. I hope your truth won't hinder my path to ideals, N muttered, his eyes gradually losing focus. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to defeat you. Dragon Spiral Tower. Reshiram, Dragon/Fire type, Vast White Pokemon. Ability, Turbo Blaze. Moves, Blue Flare, Outrage, Imprison, Fusion Flare, Flamethrower, Hyper Voice, Fusion Fire, Dragon Pulse, Extrasensory. Pokédex, this mythical Pokemon can shoot fire from its tail, burning everything to ashes. It is said to help those who seek to create a world of truth. Listening to the introduction from Dylan's Rotom Pokédex, Lily couldn't help but exclaim. Not only is it beautiful, but Reshiram is also incredibly strong. I thought you weren't going to choose me, Dylan chuckled, gently patting Reshiram's feathers. They're so soft. Perfect for riding. Their path to ideals has already begun, Dylan. We cannot afford to lag behind, an ethereal voice echoed telepathically. Reshiram gazed up at the clear sky, its dragon eyes seemingly piercing through time and space, locking onto Zekrom and its hero in the distance. Proud, sacred, beautiful. Lily's eyes sparkled as she looked at Reshiram's majestic profile. So beautiful. The white dragon is simply stunning. This is natural, Dylan smiled lightly, showing no concern for N and Zekrom. For him, the only edge N had was Zekrom. But now, Dylan wasn't just the hero of truth, he also had Necrozma. After tonight's training simulation, once he obtained Cosmeg's Lunala form, with Necrozma's Dawnwings, how could N even dream of beating him? Reshiram turned its majestic head towards Dylan, exuding a cold and noble aura. I recently encountered two girls in Castelia City, Rosa and Hilda. They often mention hearing things about truth at night. Do you have any idea what that's about, Reshiram? Dylan squinted his eyes slightly, smiling as he observed the aloof yet breathtakingly beautiful white dragon. Reshiram's dragon eyes froze slightly as it gazed at its chosen hero, lost in thought. After a while, Reshiram's ethereal, nonchalant telepathic voice returned. Maybe they were just hallucinating? Yes, definitely can't admit it. Can't admit I've been casting a wide net. How would I maintain my dignified image? I am the magnificent white dragon, not some player. Oh? Dylan's smile deepened. And what about my sister, Lily? Dylan glanced at Lily, who blinked in confusion. Reshiram's gaze flickered to Lily. I do vaguely remember reaching out to her. It must have been a mishearing. Reshiram remained calm. And what about Liam? Who's Liam? I don't recall anyone by that name. Reshiram seemed confused. Why didn't it remember Liam? But Reshiram quickly caught on, staring at its hero in disbelief. What a shameless human! Trying to trick a dragon. White dragon, being fickle isn't a good quality, Dylan teased softly. He knew something was off. Ahem, Dylan, the current black dragon's hero is pretty strong, so I just wanted to consider my options more carefully, Reshiram coughed awkwardly. And I swear, you're the only one who's entered the tower. I didn't summon anyone else. Well, I feel honored, Dylan chuckled. This white dragon is something else. But it doesn't matter now, Dylan. As long as we join forces, that black dragon is no match for us. Reshiram's ethereal voice was filled with confidence, exuding an aura of unrivaled pride. The source of that confidence was none other than the dark blue Pokemon standing behind Dylan, Necrozma. Though Reshiram didn't know much about Necrozma, the strong sense of dread it felt was unmistakable. This Necrozma was a force to be reckoned with. Dylan is truly powerful. With such a strong hero of truth, what's there to fear from the Black Dragon? If they met, the Black Dragon's head would be shattered. The White Dragon stands for truth and nothing but the truth. Naturally, Dylan nodded confidently. Well then, Reshiram, I'll be counting on you from now on. Dylan took out a deep crimson luxury ball and held it toward Reshiram. The white dragon lowered its head gently, touching the ball. The luxury ball opened, and Reshiram was absorbed into the ball in a flash of red light. The indicator barely blinked before stopping. Captured. Reshiram, Dylan smiled as he looked at the luxury ball in his hand. He couldn't help but grin. He had personally captured Reshiram. Brother! You're amazing! Lily ran up to Dylan, her emotions a mixture of excitement and admiration, overwhelming her heart. This was the legendary Dragon of Truth from Unova's creation myth. Seeing this sacred white dragon enter Dylan's pokeball, Lily could barely contain her excitement. This is only the beginning, Dylan said as he gently ruffled Lily's hair, though he couldn't hide his own joy. Dylan, I can sense the black dragon's location. Let's go and defeat it. Reshiram's telepathic message resonated in Dylan's mind, full of eagerness. Not so fast, there's something important I need to take care of first. Dylan slowly rotated the luxury ball in his hand. Oh, well, after you're done, can we go beat the black dragon? The white dragon's tone shifted from disappointment to excitement once more. Really? I know you and the black dragon don't get along, but do you really want to fight it that badly? Dylan's eyelid twitched slightly. Don't worry, Reshiram. We'll deal with the black dragon and its hero eventually, Dylan reassured Reshiram. Come, Lily, let's try riding the white dragon. Dylan recalled Necrozma, shrinking its ultra ball back to pendant size and hanging it on his necklace. He smiled gently at Lily. Really? Lily's eyes lit up with excitement and anticipation. Mom, I've made it. I'm going to ride the legendary white dragon. Of course it's true. Come on out, Reshiram. With a flash of light, the majestic and graceful Reshiram appeared once more in front of the two. Let's go, Reshiram. Take us back to Osiris City. Roar! The ethereal and melodious dragon roar echoed as the white dragon flapped its wings, carrying Dylan and Lily toward Osiris City. Dylan had only one thought: with its stable flight and soft feathers, Reshiram was undoubtedly the best choice as a mount. This trip to Unova was absolutely worth it. From now on, his airborne ride would definitely be the white dragon. When he had the chance, he'd make another trip to Paldea and collect those two motorcycles, so he'd have a perfect ride for the ground too. Outside Osiris City, the white dragon descended, and Dylan recalled it into a valuable pokeball. In fact, even in the Unova region, there weren't many people who could recognize Reshiram. Most people in Unova grew up hearing stories of the region's founding legend, but they regarded it as just that, a legend. Besides, the black dragon and white dragon had been dormant for 1,000 years, so no one knew what they looked like. However, flying Pokémon weren't allowed in the city except under special circumstances. Brother, where are we going next? Lily asked, holding Dylan's arm and walking with a spring in her step, clearly in a great mood. Of course, she was happy. She had just flown in on Reshiram, and it was super comfortable. Unlike the icy cold feel of Arctic Uno, Reshiram's back was soft and warm, making the ride absolutely wonderful. Since we've captured Reshiram, naturally, we should test its combat power, Dylan replied with a gentle smile. Find an opponent for Reshiram? Lily blinked. She had witnessed Zekram's power firsthand in Saffron City, and Reshiram, being equally matched with Zekram, surely had formidable strength. An ordinary opponent wouldn't be able to challenge Reshiram, right? Are you going to challenge that in with Zekram? Lily asked curiously. No, a battle with N can wait. I have a more suitable target in mind, an old acquaintance of the white dragon. It will be quite grateful for this. Dylan grinned. If he wanted to test Reshiram's power, then the black dragon would certainly be the most appropriate choice, though Dylan thought even the black dragon might not be strong enough. But no worries, Unova didn't only have the black and white dragon gods. There was also the strongest dragon on the ground after all, as mentioned in the Keldeo movie, the strongest dragon on the ground. Huh? Lily looked puzzled. She had no idea who Dylan was referring to. You'll find out tomorrow. Dylan couldn't resist pinching Lily's soft cheek because her confused expression was just too adorable. Ugh, brother, you can't keep pinching me like that. What if my face gets stretched out? Lily rubbed her cheek, half complaining, half joking. Sorry, Lily is just too cute, Dylan apologized with a mischievous smile. You're so sneaky, saying things like that. Lily's cheeks turned bright red, and she lowered her head, playing with her fingers, speaking softly. Seeing Lily shyly looking down, Dylan chuckled. Though his dear sister was becoming more cheerful, she was still easily embarrassed sometimes. But that made her even cuter. The two of them were about to find a restaurant for dinner, but as they passed a small park, they noticed a crowd gathered there. Dylan glanced over and saw a middle-aged man with pale green hair dressed in flowing robes giving a speech. My name is Getsus, of Team Plasma. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Pokemon liberation. Humans and Pokemon have lived together until now, believing they are indispensable partners. But is that really true? Could it be that this is just wishful thinking on our part? Have you ever wondered if that's the case? Trainers freely order Pokemon around, and even treat their working partners with disdain. Who can definitively say such things don't happen? So, what should we do? Pokemon are different from humans, they possess unknown potential within them. There is much we can learn from them. We must liberate Pokemon. Only then can humans. Getsus was passionately delivering his speech, becoming increasingly animated. But just then. Hello, Officer Jenny? Yes, I'd like to report someone promoting illegal and harmful ideas here, trying to deceive innocent citizens. Such a person should be severely punished. Yes, I'm currently at. Please come quickly, I'll keep an eye on him until you arrive. The call interrupted Getsus's speech, and his words came to an abrupt halt. Getsus's face instantly darkened, and his cold gaze fell on the young man in black who had made the call. What's the matter? Why are you staring at me? Go on, Dylan said, popping sunflower seeds and gesturing for Getsus to continue. Getsus's expression grew even darker. Why did you stop, Getsus? You were doing great. Don't worry, you won't be going anywhere until Officer Jenny arrives. You should finish your performance, Dylan said as he took a folding chair from his backpack, sat down, and crossed his legs. Getsus, one of Team Plasma's 7 sages and Anne's adoptive father. If he could catch this guy, it wouldn't be too much to ask the Unova League for a Dano, right? Lily, ever attentive, stood behind Dylan and gently massaged his shoulders. At first glance, Dylan's aura of arrogance instantly came to life. Let's go. Getsus shot Dylan a cold look, whispered to the 2 grunts behind him, and prepared to leave. Curse it! Curse it! Curse it! Getsus's eyes were filled with malice. If Officer Jenny arrived, things would become troublesome. He had to leave quickly, but once he got back, he would find someone to deal with that arrogant brat and settle the score. Tisk, did I say you could leave? A lazy voice came from behind. Kid, don't go too far. Do you even know who I am? Getsus's face darkened further as he turned to glare at Dylan, rage turning into a twisted smile. Such ignorance. Getsus thought that if he didn't put this kid in his place, the boy would continue to act insolent. It seemed a lesson was indeed necessary to make the boy understand the meaning of knowing one's place. Chapter 147, really? Getsus was not in a good mood. His speech had been going well, and he was just about to reach the climax. Then, out of nowhere, some clueless kid called Officer Jenny, and now this kid wanted to stop him from leaving? Well, Getsus, you're certainly throwing your weight around. Dylan stood up, casually sizing up Getsus with a look of astonishment. I wonder what kind of reward I'd get if I turned you over to the Unova League. But considering your worth, I suppose I'd be lucky to get a Dano in exchange. Getsus's face darkened to the point where it looked like water could drip from it. This brat. Getsus, shall we deal with him? Officer Jenny is probably already on her way, one of the 2 plasma grunts behind Getsus whispered. Although they were furious about Dylan insulting their sage, time was pressing. It would be trouble if Officer Jenny arrived. Getsus understood the urgency, and after glaring at Dylan with an extremely cold expression, he let out a cold snort and prepared to leave. Oh? I was expecting something more from you, Getsus. Turns out, you're just planning to slink away? Dylan's mocking tone stopped Getsus in his tracks. Even if Alder were here today, he couldn't save you. You disrespectful little punk. Getsus whirled around, his cold, sinister voice sending chills through the air as he opened a pokeball. A Hydreigon appeared before Getsus, its black and red eyes fixed on Dylan and Lily. A Hydreigon, huh? Lily clutched Dylan's sleeve, cautiously eyeing the ominous Hydreigon. Though it seemed darker than Zinnia's Hydreigon, it clearly lacked Zinnia's Hydreigon's presence. Oh. Big words, Getsus. If Champion Alder were here, you'd probably be begging for mercy. Dylan continued to taunt lightly. Getsus's face twitched, his expression darkening further. Never. No one had ever dared to provoke him like this before. Kid, I've decided. After I break your mouth, let's see if you still have the nerve to talk. Getsus's icy gaze never left Dylan. Being an arrogant and conceited man, how could he endure such humiliation? Come on, Getsus. Show me what you're made of. I hope your bite is at least half as tough as your bark. Dylan chuckled dismissively as he released a Salamence, whose violent aura filled the air as it spread its wings and looked down at Hydreigon. A Salamence? Getsus's expression flickered. A Salamence was no ordinary Pokemon. Could this kid actually be powerful? Perhaps he shouldn't act rashly, after all, they were still in Icyrus City. Relax, Getsus. Whether you want to fight or not, Salamence won't let you leave. After all, I still plan to trade you to the Unova League for a Dano. Dylan smirked, as if he could read Getsus's thoughts. Arrogant. Getsus's expression changed instantly. You brat. If you insist on courting death, I will gladly oblige. Getsus's menacing words prompted a nonchalant shrug from Dylan. Your mere Salamence is nothing in front of my Hydreigon. Yes. As the true leader of Team Plasma and even the mastermind behind the hero chosen by the Dragon of Ideals, he could surely defeat an arrogant and foolish boy. Hydreigon versus Salamence, how could he lose? He would win. But then. What? How is this possible? Getsus staggered back, pale-faced, as he watched his Hydreigon fall effortlessly. How could it be so strong? I can't lose to you. I am the perfect human who founded Team Plasma. Getsus's twisted and resentful face showed he was on the verge of a breakdown. What a pathetic man, unable to even accept reality, Dylan remarked in disdain, glancing at the ashen-faced Getsus. Congratulations, you're even weaker than I expected, and to think you call yourself a perfect human. Dylan's taunts showed no mercy. Don't get cocky. This isn't over. Just you wait. Getsus was seething with hatred. This brat's strength had caught him off guard, even his prized Hydreigon was easily defeated. But it didn't matter. He still had his adopted son, N, who was followed by the Dragon of Ideals. As long as N was around, no one in this world was his match. N was unbeatable. Are you not fully developed intellectually? You can still say things like just you wait? Dylan's eyes gleamed with amusement. You. Getsus's eyes were bloodshot. But Dylan could no longer be bothered with this defeated dog. Under Salamance's intimidation, Getsus, though bristling with anger, reluctantly laid all his pokeballs on the ground. Before long, a police car arrived, and Officer Jenny from Unova stepped out. I'm Dylan, gym leader of Rota Gym in Kanto, here on a trip with my sister. I just happened to catch this guy spreading the ideology of an evil organization. As a good citizen who upholds the values of the League, I couldn't tolerate such heresy. Dylan gave a brief explanation to Officer Jenny. Thank you, Gym Leader Dylan. We've been on the lookout for Team Plasma operatives recently. You've done us a great service. Officer Jenny saluted Dylan gratefully. Ever since Zekrom appeared in Saffron City, Goodshow had contacted the Unova League, and they had begun a crackdown on Team Plasma members, though no high-ranking officials had been caught. But now, capturing one of the 7 sages, Getsus, was indeed a big win for Officer Jenny. No need for thanks. I was just doing my duty. Dylan nodded with a smile, then handed Getsus's pokeballs to Officer Jenny. Please be careful with the detention, Officer Jenny. Getsus is a highly dangerous elite-level trainer. Rest assured, Gym Leader Dylan. Officer Jenny's expression became serious. This guy was an elite-level trainer? What about Dylan, who defeated Getsus? I'll report this matter to my superiors. The Unova League will not forget your contribution, Gym Leader Dylan. Officer Jenny, being astute, immediately addressed Dylan. I was just doing what I should, Dylan replied with the same line. With that, Officer Jenny handcuffed Getsus and escorted him into the police car, which then drove toward the station. Hopefully, Getsus would enjoy the meals in Osiris City's jail because he would soon be transferred to Oplucid City. Would N break into the Unova League to rescue Getsus? That would surely be an interesting spectacle. Big brother, who was that man? As the police car drove away, Lily curiously asked Dylan. It was her first time seeing her brother mock someone so mercilessly. He usually wasn't like this, which showed just how much he disliked Getsus. Getsus, the founder of Team Plasma and N's adoptive father. The reason N is the way he is now is because of him. Dylan casually explained. He really didn't think much of Getsus, unlike other leaders of villainous teams who had ambitions and reasons. Only Giovanni and Getsus were driven purely by ambition, though Giovanni at least had the aura and qualities of a hero and could accept defeat, as he temporarily disbanded Team Rocket after losing to Red to train and grow stronger. But Getsus was different. He resorted to all kinds of means for his ambitions, even manipulating a child's worldview with a false reality. He raised N, treating him as a monster while pretending to be a guide and loving father. After being defeated, he became deranged, unable to accept his failure. All of this showed that Getsus was a pathetic and incapable man. Just like Archie and Maxie, nothing but trash. Dylan didn't dislike ambitious villains. In his view, the world was colorful and dazzling precisely because of the various people who existed and intersected, making it a vibrant place. But at least villains needed to be outstanding and charismatic, right? Only such ambitious individuals could create an exciting story. Let's go, Lily. We'll get something to eat, and tomorrow we'll head to Lacunosa Town. All right. The next day, Dylan and Lily flew to Lacunosa Town on Reshiram. Lacunosa Town, located in the southeastern part of the Unova region, gets its name from the lattice pattern used in woven bamboo baskets, known for warding off evil spirits with its triangular shape. After about 2 hours of flying, Dylan and Lily arrived at Lacunosa Town. Reshiram wasn't flying at its maximum speed, yet they made good time. Ha! What are these walls? Lily was surprised as she noticed the walls surrounding Lacunosa Town. Walls? In this day and age? It's an old custom of theirs, nothing to be puzzled about, Dylan said as he recalled Reshiram. After surveying the surroundings and determining the direction, he led Lily toward the northwest. Do you know why they built these walls? Lily asked, curious. It felt like Dylan knew everything. It's a local legend passed down in Lacunosa, Dylan explained. A long time ago, a meteor fell from space, carrying a terrifying beast. They say the beast would appear at night, accompanied by a cold wind, to snatch away people and Pokemon to eat them. What? Lily was stunned. So, the townspeople built these walls to encircle the town and even established a rule prohibiting people from going outside at night, encouraging everyone to stay indoors. Even today, some residents stay home at night, though not everyone believes in the legend anymore. Dylan chuckled softly. Indeed, this was the story passed down in Lacunosa Town. The terrifying beast from the legend was none other than the ice dragon, Kyurem. Compared to its two counterparts, the black dragon and the white dragon, the ice dragon was less famous. Its fierce appearance only added to Kyurem's negative reputation among the locals. Saying Kyurem has a bad temper is certainly true, but saying it eats humans and Pokemon? Confused emoji. Dylan was more inclined to believe that Kyurem had frozen some unfortunate individuals who accidentally provoked it. After all, in the Sacred Sword movie, Kiram did freeze the three swords of justice in an instant. Furthermore, Lacunosa town's legend was fundamentally incorrect. Kiram originated from the remains left behind after the original dragon split into the black dragon and white dragon, not from some meteor. However, there was one element of truth in the legend: Kiram's lair wasn't too far from Lacunosa town. The Giant Chasm. Located in the far northeastern corner of the Unova region, the Giant Chasm is a massive crater said to be Kiram's home. Dylan took out the winter clothes they had prepared in advance, and with Lily, headed into the depths of the Giant Chasm. Guided by Necrozma's sense of direction, they continued onward. As they ventured deeper, the temperature noticeably dropped, and both Dylan and Lily were now bundled up in thick winter coats. "Dylan, I think I sense a familiar presence. Where have you taken us?" Abruptly, Reshiram's solemn telepathy echoed in Dylan's mind. Even while inside its pokeball, Reshiram could feel the aura of the ice dragon growing stronger. Where had Dylan brought them now? "Let's turn back, Dylan. I can sense we're getting closer to a terrifying creature," Reshiram urged its hero of truth. However, the brave hero of truth wasn't about to heed the white dragon's advice. "That's right, Reshiram. My target is none other than the legendary ice dragon, Kiram." Dylan and Lily emerged from a cave to find themselves in a breathtaking world of ice and blue hues. It was magnificent, truly magnificent. They had entered a pristine, glacial canyon. On the ground ahead, a gray dragon was lying down, leisurely napping. It was Kiram, the ice dragon. And why did it look so content? Because above Kiram, a multitude of cryogonal were slowly floating around, while flakes of icy snow drifted down. Yes, these wild cryogonal were creating artificial snowfall for Kiram, suggesting that the ice dragon knew how to enjoy itself. "Ha?" Reshiram was taken aback. "No, Dylan, you may not understand what Kiram represents. Its temper is utterly horrible. It's best we don't provoke it. How about we go after the black dragon instead?" Reshiram quickly recovered and started negotiating with Dylan. "Kiram is a legendary dragon, and it's an ice dragon. But Reshiram, as a fire dragon, you should be able to defeat Kiram, right?" "I'm supposed to fight Kiram?" Reshiram's ethereal telepathy was filled with bewilderment. Who could understand? It had finally found a strong hero, and now this hero wanted it to fight Kiram right away? If Reshiram had that kind of power, it would have already scattered the black dragon's ashes without needing to choose a worthy hero of truth. Chapter 148, Merely an Empty Shell. Don't be so afraid, Reshiram. You are the true dragon god, after all, and Kiram is just an ice dragon. No, Dylan, I don't think you understand. Dylan could almost imagine Reshiram shaking its head frantically. At that time, because of differences in ideals, I and the black dragon separated from the body of the original dragon. We inherited the inner power of the dragon, but its shell was left behind, which eventually turned into Kiram. Reshiram explained the origin of the three dragons of Unova to Dylan. Do you understand what I mean, Dylan? At the root, both Zekrom and I are parts of Kiram that were lost. It can capture me and the black dragon, then reintegrate us back into itself to restore the body it lost. Being originally just a shell, Kiram possesses power that surpasses mine and the black dragon's. Although we separated and took some of the power, a portion of the inner essence still remains within Kiram. Its true power is far beyond what I can compare to now. Reshiram spoke softly, revealing why both it and Zekrom preferred to stay hidden from Kiram. It wasn't just because of the overwhelming difference in strength. The most terrifying thing was that Kiram was a hero waiting to fill its lost body with truth and ideals. The consciousness of the original dragon of Unova had long since perished, splitting into three: Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kiram. But Kiram was special. If any of the three dragons could return to their original form as the original dragon of Unova, only Kiram had the potential to do so. So, you're saying Kiram is incredibly strong? Dylan leaned on his hand, gazing at the massive gray dragon in the distance. Yes, extremely strong. Reshiram replied seriously. It seemed that its hero finally understood the gravity of the situation, which brought Reshiram some relief. Tisk that only makes it more appealing. Now, I really want to capture it. Dylan's eyes glinted with excitement. From Rishiram's words, he had grasped a crucial piece of information. When the original dragon split, its shell still retained some of the inner essence? In that case, this Kyurem could be just like the one in the movies. The white dragon was confused. Don't worry, Reshiram. Be brave. As your hero, I'll always be your strongest support. Dylan reassured the suddenly nervous white dragon. I'll have Necrozma ready to assist you at any time. If you can't handle it, we'll gang up and show truth what's what. Are you sure, Dylan? Reshiram was skeptical about the sincerity of Dylan's words, especially since fighting the ice dragon was. Of course, I'm sure. You're my white dragon, after all. Do you think I'd just stand by and watch you get beaten up by an ice dragon? Then, Dylan, make sure Necrozma is on standby at all times, okay? Watch closely. Reshiram was still a little uneasy and kept reminding Dylan repeatedly. Relax, you can count on me. Dylan's eyelid twitched slightly. This white dragon was too much. Then, Dylan looked towards Kyurem in the distance. His Rotom Pokédex flew out, containing the legendary Pokémon data he had compiled. Beep Kyurem, Dragon/Ice type, Boundary Pokémon. Ability, Pressure. Moves, Sheer Cold, Glaciate, Outrage, Blizzard, Hyper Voice, Ice Beam, Dragon Pulse, Freeze Dry, Scale Shot. Description: a hero waiting to fill its lost body with truth and ideals, the legendary Ice Dragon Pokémon. So strong. Lily listened to the Rotom Pokédex's introduction and gripped Dylan's clothes tighter. This was the legendary ice dragon, Kyurem. The strongest dragon on land. Dylan held Lily's small hand to reassure her, then walked towards Kyurem with her slowly. Buzzing. It seemed that the geometric snowflakes swirling in the sky noticed the two uninvited guests, emitting a low hum before calming down again, as if afraid of disturbing something. But it was already too late. Dylan could feel Lily's hand suddenly tightening around his. That was because the massive gray dragon ahead had opened its eyes at some point, its golden, majestic gaze fixed on the two of them. Kyurem had awakened. The entire glacial valley seemed to fall silent at this moment. Under the overwhelming, oppressive atmosphere, even the air seemed to grow thick. Lily felt like she had to use all her strength just to breathe, the pressure was immense. Roar! A ferocious roar echoed across the sky, deafeningly loud. The sound waves generated by the roar surged forward, causing the entire glacial valley to tremble slightly. So terrifying. This was just a roar. Lily shielded her face with her hand, the biting wind stinging her cheeks. The gray dragon slowly rose, towering over the two humans who dared to approach it. Kyurem's golden dragon eyes glowed with a frightening light as it stared directly at Dylan. It could feel it. It could sense it clearly. White dragon! You dare to appear before me! The hoarse, deep voice resonated telepathically throughout the valley. It was Kyurem's voice. It had sensed the presence of the white dragon emanating from this human. Has my kindness for the past 2,000 years made you too bold? Kyurem lowered its head slightly, its face twisted into a terrifying snarl, enough to make a child cry. It hadn't gone out of its way to find and devour the black and white dragons, which was its act of mercy toward them. And now, the white dragon dared to come before it on its own. Was this a provocation? Don't be angry, Kyurem. We don't intend to disturb your slumber. Dylan smiled as he spoke, releasing a gentle aura, but Kyurem's demeanor remained hostile, though at least it hadn't attacked outright. That was already a good outcome after all, this was the legendary ice dragon, Kyurem. I am Dylan, Rishiram's partner. We came here specifically for you, Kyurem. Ha! Kyurem sneered. It could already guess that Zekrom and Reshiram would normally avoid it at all costs, so why would they suddenly seek it out? Kyurem, the strongest dragon of Unova's legends, sleeping in a place like this for so long. Don't you think that's a waste? Dylan glanced around at the surroundings. The pristine, immaculate glacial valley was a magnificent sight, but this had been Kyurem's home for thousands of years. Your power is so overwhelming, incredibly alluring. Even Reshiram and Zekrom have left behind legends passed down through the generations. As the strongest dragon, isn't it a shame that no one acknowledges you, Kyurem? Dylan spoke slowly to Kyurem. In response, Kyurem merely scoffed. What a ridiculous statement. Kyurem's golden dragon eyes stared at the human chosen by the white dragon. Why would I need validation from weak ants like humans? Only the worthless care about such things. The white dragon and the black dragon are both fools. What truth? What ideals? Kyurem slowly straightened up, and its hoarse, resentful telepathic voice grew more dangerous. It held nothing but contempt for the black and white dragons, who were constantly at odds over laughable concepts like truth and ideals. It was almost enough to make a dragon laugh. Weak white dragon, weak black dragon, and their feeble principles and existence. Relying on frail humans to affirm their value. What right do those worthless beings have to be compared with me? Frost began to emanate from Kyurem's body, and its presence grew heavier. Pathetic creatures. Then again, I have let them be for over 2,000 years. Perhaps it is time to bring them back. In the end, as far as Kyurem was concerned, the so-called white and black dragons were no better than this. Reshiram, it seems Kyurem holds you in low regard. Dylan narrowed his eyes slightly and pulled Lily back, jokingly teasing his white dragon in his mind. That's just how Kyurem is. But it's actually the most pitiful one, Reshiram replied calmly. It mocks us for having the purpose of truth and ideals, but Kyurem itself is merely an empty shell. Kyurem despised the black and white dragons, but to both of them, the strongest ice dragon was equally pitiful. Having lost its inner self, all that's left is a hollow shell with nothing but power. It doesn't even have a purpose for its existence, Reshiram said faintly. Hearing Kyurem's mockery of it and the black dragon, Reshiram remained unexpectedly composed. The divine dragon had split due to ideological differences, resulting in two dragons born with principles of truth and ideals. But what of the remaining shell? Nothing but emptiness. It had nothing but power because its heart was already hollow. Thus, it was waiting to fill the void with truth and ideals. TSK. Dylan clicked his tongue. Goodness, while Kyurem's insults were harsh, Reshiram was no slouch either. Without uttering a single curse, Reshiram's disdain for Kyurem was evident. Every word was a critical hit. Truly worthy of being the white dragon of truth, it was a verbal onslaught. If Kyurem heard this, wouldn't it go berserk? Oh, right, why didn't Reshiram just say it to Kyurem's face? Human boy, bring out your white dragon. After more than 2,000 years, it's time to settle the score. Kyurem didn't know what Dylan and Reshiram were discussing, but now it felt there was no point in continuing the conversation. Since Reshiram had come here, Kyurem wouldn't let the white dragon go so easily. Kyurem, why so aggressive? Why don't we keep talking? Look, isn't it boring just lying here and sleeping? How about I show you the outside world? Human. I won't repeat myself. Kyurem's voice was nearly growling, barely suppressing its anger. If it weren't for the inexplicable feeling that this human's aura wasn't entirely repugnant, Kyurem would have already unleashed a freezing beam. It had little patience. In that case, Reshiram. Dylan tossed Reshiram's pokeball, and with an ethereal, resonant cry, the graceful and magnificent white dragon spread its wings and floated in the air. Its azure eyes stared intently at Kyurem. Kyurem's golden eyes suddenly gleamed fiercely, and the pressure it exuded intensified. White dragon! The ice dragon's roar echoed through the icy canyon, and a flame instantly ignited on its back, spreading across its entire body. In the blink of an eye, a larger, colder yet paradoxically searing grayish-white dragon appeared. This is... Lily was stunned. Its upper body rose, standing on its two legs, with some features resembling Reshiram, including a similar heat-emitting organ on its tail. This was White Kyurem. Deep White Kyurem, Dragon/Ice type, Boundary Pokemon. Ability, Turbo Blaze. Moves, Glaciate, Sheer Cold, Outrage, Blizzard, Fusion Flare, Ice Beam, Freeze Dry. Description: it has foreseen the arrival of a true world for Pokemon and humans, and seeks to protect such a future. White Kyurem. So powerful, so powerful. Indeed, this ice dragon can freely change forms just like in the movies. Dylan's eyes glimmered as he looked at the awe-inspiring White Kyurem. White Dragon. White Kyurem slowly floated upward, its savage dragon eyes locked onto the elegant Reshiram. A vicious smile appeared on its menacing face. I have seen the true world coming, White Dragon. In that true world, there is no place for you. Reshiram suddenly felt a chill run through its body, its white feathers standing on end. This ice dragon was too much. It actually tried to scare it. Dylan, you'd better make sure Necrozma keeps an eye on things. This Kyurem seems serious. Don't worry, Reshiram. Just go for it, we've got your back. Then why are you all moving farther away? Chapter 149, Save Me. Dylan didn't pay any attention to Reshiram. Of course, with Reshiram locked in battle against White Kyurem, he had to keep his distance. Otherwise, what if he got caught up in the crossfire? Not only did he move farther away, but Dylan also released Articuno, allowing himself and Lily to sit on its back. If the shockwaves from the battle came their way, Articuno could dodge or use Protect to shield them. White Dragon. White Kyurem's roar echoed through the air as its massive body charged straight at Reshiram with a powerful and imposing momentum. Meanwhile, the wild Cryogonal that had been floating nearby scattered in a panic, fleeing in disorganized confusion. Reshiram, use Fusion Flare. Dylan commanded Reshiram through their telepathic connection. The main purpose of confronting Kyurem was to gauge the power of both Reshiram and Kyurem. If they could capture Kyurem, that would be ideal. If not, at least they would have a better understanding of its strength, preparing for a future attempt. RRRR. Reshiram continued to retreat, the turbine on its tail igniting with a bright red glow. The tips of its two long white locks behind its head also lit up with the same red hue, as intense heat radiated from its body. Overdrive mode. This wasn't a special form but rather a sign that Reshiram was giving its all. A massive fireball formed above Reshiram, flames swirling around it in rings. This was one of Reshiram's signature moves, the Fire-type Fusion Flare. Apart from Reshiram, White Kyurem could also use this attack. Noticing Reshiram's actions, White Kyurem's turbine also glowed red, and a massive fireball formed above it. Because it has absorbed the same genes as Reshiram, it can also use Fusion Flare, Lily thought to herself as she watched from Dylan's arms. And it seemed that White Kyurem's fireball was significantly larger than Reshiram's. Fusion Flare X2. Boom! The two enormous, scorching fusion flares collided in mid-air, and waves of searing heat rippled outward in all directions. The ancient, unmelting ice of the surrounding glaciers began to melt under the intense heat. However, after a brief clash, Reshiram's fusion flare started to falter and was soon overwhelmed by White Kyurem's, which continued its onslaught toward Reshiram. How can they be the same move, but with such different results? Lily exclaimed in surprise. The difference lies in their power. Reshiram isn't as strong as White Kyurem, and the gap is quite significant, Dylan noted, raising an eyebrow. Even though they were using the same move, the intensity differed between the two Pokemon. Reshiram naturally evaded the incoming fusion flare, but in the next instant, the massive gray-white form of White Kyurem closed in. It slammed directly into Reshiram, grabbing it with its claws and pinning it against the canyon wall. Bang! Reshiram groaned in pain. White Kyurem was using a lot of force. White Dragon! Look at me! White Kyurem gripped Reshiram's head with its right claw, its golden, ferocious eyes staring intently at Reshiram. Its raspy telepathic voice echoed in Reshiram's mind. Reshiram locked eyes with White Kyurem. Look at yourself. Your truth is so fragile. Tell me, where is your truth? Reshiram didn't respond, instead gathering a pure blue-green draconic light in its mouth. But before it could unleash the attack, White Kyurem clamped its dragon claw over Reshiram's mouth, sealing it shut, forcing the dragon pulse to dissipate. You think I didn't know? You and the Black Dragon have always avoided me, always choosing to run away. Did you really think you could hide from me? I simply didn't care to hunt you down. White Kyurem's voice was menacing. It lifted Reshiram high, its sinister words echoing. How laughable. The hero you chose has brought you right to me. Do you understand, White Dragon? You will all return to me. We will become one again. That is the true world. Boom! A dragon pulse blasted directly onto White Kyurem, erupting in a surge of energy. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Reshiram broke free from Kyurem's grasp and quickly retreated. Dylan! This thing is too strong. Hurry and help me. Reshiram anxiously called out to Dylan. White Kyurem was terrifying. Its gaze made Reshiram feel incredibly uneasy, as though the ice dragon was eyeing its beautiful form, wanting to consume it. It was terrifying. Don't be afraid. Face your fear, and you can overcome it. The battle has only just begun, Dylan encouraged Reshiram. How deeply was this white dragon scarred by the ice dragon to be calling for help after just one move? Reshiram hesitated for a moment. That made sense, it was embarrassing to call for help after just one move. At the very least, it should hold on for 3 moves, right? But at that moment, White Kyurem was already charging again, unleashing a fierce blizzard from its mouth. An ice-type blizzard. The sky turned white with the storm, and everything within sight was covered in swirling snow. The ice that had melted from the earlier fusion flares began to freeze again under the blizzard's cold. Reshiram, use blue flare. The turbine on Reshiram's tail ignited with intense red light, and blue flames gathered in its mouth. In the next instant, a massive blue flame burst forth, meeting the incoming blizzard head-on. Reshiram's strongest signature move, blue flare. The blue flare and the icy blizzard clashed fiercely, with blue flames and ice blue snow battering against each other. But alarmingly, even Reshiram's most powerful blue flare couldn't withstand the blizzard. The icy storm visibly consumed the brilliant flames. Roar! With a roar filled with hostility, the blizzard expanded, swallowing up the blue flare and continuing its assault toward Reshiram. Reshiram's eyes widened. Dylan! Save me! The raging blizzard completely engulfed Reshiram, who was unable to retreat in time. Although as a white dragon, Reshiram wasn't weak to ice-type moves, the blizzard still dealt regular damage. And this was no ordinary blizzard, it was White Kyurem's blizzard. The blizzard howled past, with the sky completely covered by snow and ice. Snowflakes descended beautifully, painting a mesmerizing scene. However, Lily didn't find it beautiful at all. One powerful move actually changed the entire area's weather. What kind of legendary Pokemon was this? When the blizzard subsided, Reshiram, frozen stiff, nearly fell to the ground. Its once soft and beautiful white feathers were now covered in frost, and the dragon itself was in bad shape. Boom! The next second, White Kyurem's massive body flew forward, slamming Reshiram into the mountain wall for the second time. Weak. You're even weaker than I expected, White Dragon. White Kyurem's fierce eyes stared at Reshiram, and the oppressive telepathic voice sent chills down Reshiram's spine. But White Kyurem's strength was overwhelming, Reshiram couldn't break free. Dylan! If you don't act now, you'll lose your beautiful white dragon forever. In a panic, Reshiram frantically called out to its trainer through telepathy. Kyurem's enormous face was right in front of it, terrifyingly close. This ice dragon might really eat me alive. As expected of you, Reshiram, Dylan sighed helplessly. He had hoped to learn more about the dynamics between the white dragon and ice dragon, expecting Reshiram to put up a fight against Kyurem, but he didn't anticipate Reshiram to desperately call for help after just 2 moves. Necrozma. Dylan took out the Ultra Ball from his chest and enlarged it before releasing it. While White Kyurem was contemplating whether to devour Reshiram then and there, thinking that absorbing Reshiram's full genes could make it even stronger despite its ability to shift forms freely. As White Kyurem pondered, a golden beam of light suddenly shot toward it at lightning speed. A photon geyser from a psychic type. Who's there? White Kyurem's eyes narrowed fiercely as it gathered icy energy in its mouth, launching a winding ice beam to intercept the photon geyser. Boom! The photon geyser and ice beam clashed violently in mid-air, exploding with a tremendous force. The shockwave swept across the area, causing White Kurum's dragon eyes to flicker. That was a powerful attack. As the dust settled, a strange pink bat covered in deep blue crystals spread its wings and hovered silently. It was Dawnwing's Necrozma. White Kurum released its grip on Reshiram, turning slowly to face Dawnwing's Necrozma, its violent and savage aura gradually intensifying. Finally free, Reshiram breathed a sigh of relief and quickly flew behind Dawnwing's Necrozma. It felt so reassuring to have a powerful ally for protection. Ha! Brother, is that Necrozma? Why does it look like that? Lily asked in confusion, staring at the now completely different Dawnwing's Necrozma. In just one day, Necrozma had changed so much. It obtained new power, so it looks different, Dylan explained with a smile, gesturing for the Rotom Pokédex to give more information. Indeed, during the simulation training last night, he had successfully obtained Lunala and fused it with Necrozma, transforming it into Dawnwing's Necrozma. Deep Necrozma, Dawnwing's, Psychic/Ghost type, Prism Pokémon. Ability: Prism Armor. Signature moves: Prismatic Laser, Photon Geyser, Shadow Beam, Power Gem, Psychic, Wide Power, Dragon Pulse. Description: the form it takes when attached to Lunala, becoming even more aggressive and viewing everything as an enemy. It uses laser beams to burn everything away. Dawn Wings? Wait a minute. Lily froze, having caught something in the description, the form attached to Lunala? Was this really Necrozma fused with Lunala? No way. Then where did Lunala come from? Lily was starting to feel dizzy. White Kurum stared at Dawnwing's Necrozma, its eyes narrowing especially upon seeing Reshiram hiding behind it. Its aura grew even colder and more ferocious. That useless white dragon. It couldn't fight and had to call for backup? Fine. Lima. Dawnwing's Necrozma let out a hoarse cry, signaling for Reshiram to retreat and leave the fight to it. Reshiram immediately pulled back to maintain a safe distance, cheering quietly to Dawnwing's Necrozma. Go for it, big bro. Smash that wretched ice dragon. Chapter 150, A Legal 2v1. At this moment, somewhere in Unova. Father has been captured by the League members in Iciris City? En's vacant eyes stared at the plasma grunt before him, and he spoke each word slowly. How could this happen? En pressed his lips together and furrowed his brows. This shouldn't be right. Yes, King. It happened around dusk yesterday. The sage was spreading the organization's ideals in Iciris City and was arrested by Officer Jenny, the plasma grunt reported carefully. Everyone knew that Getsus, the sage, was En's adoptive father, and En had great respect for him. Standing nearby, Kolres adjusted his glasses and raised an eyebrow, his expression amused. I understand. Is father still being held at the Iciris City police station? En asked after a moment of silence, realizing it was true. But this didn't make sense. Although his father wasn't as strong as him, he was definitely not weak. Could Officer Jenny in Iciris City really be that strong? Yes, but I've heard they plan to transfer him to Oplucid City soon. You may leave. En fell silent. Oplucid City was the headquarters of the Unova League. The fact that Getsus was being transferred there showed how seriously the League took him. The atmosphere grew tense. En, are you going to rescue Getsus? Kolres asked. It was less of a question and more of an assumption. En deeply respected Getsus and wouldn't just let him grow old in prison. Yes, En nodded. Then you'd better act fast. If Getsus reaches Oplucid City, it will be much more difficult to rescue him, Kolres reminded him. Oplucid City was to Unova what Indigo Plateau was to Kanto, a sacred city and the headquarters of the Unova League. If En stormed into Oplucid City to rescue Getsus, it would be a direct slap in the face to the Unova League, and a loud one at that. The League would undoubtedly be furious and launch an all-out manhunt for Team Plasma, which was no laughing matter. Rescuing Getsus while he was still being transported would anger the League, but it wouldn't lead to such an all-out pursuit. I understand. En was smart and knew this well. how's the progress with reviving Genesect? Anne asked, turning to Kolres. There are 2 complete ones, and they're quite powerful, Kolres said with a slight smile as he spoke of his masterpiece. Joining Team Plasma had greatly advanced his research. Only 2? Anne's lifeless eyes fixed on Kolres. Of course, why would I hide that? Kolres shrugged. Then bring those 2 Genesect and come with me, Anne said calmly, no longer pressing Kolres. Kolres was a genius and a smart man, and Anne trusted that as long as he led Team Plasma, Kolres wouldn't act recklessly. Anne, you want me to help you break a criminal out from the Unova League? Kolres's glasses gleamed, hiding his eyes. That's not a criminal. That's my father, a sage of Team Plasma, and your collaborator, Anne replied, his dull, gray eyes staring at Kolres, clearly displeased by his words. Kolres, please remember that it was my father who took you in when you were homeless. That's why you have the luxury of conducting your research now. All right, no need to remind me. I know, Kolres replied casually. Indeed, it was Getsus who found him when the Unova League had put him on a wanted list and offered a partnership, which led him to join Team Plasma. But Kolres didn't feel he owed Team Plasma. Many of his experiments had benefited the organization, and besides, he had given them 2 Genesect, hadn't he? Let's go. After warning Kolres, Anne headed for the door. Seriously, I don't want to completely antagonize the Pokemon League, Kolres muttered, frowning. Getsus was truly useless, always spreading that ridiculous ideology. Who in their right mind would listen to such cultish ideas? And to top it off, he got caught by Officer Jenny. What a waste. No, I need to plan a way out, Kolres thought to himself. He wasn't about to follow Team Plasma into ruin. He still wanted to continue his research. Meanwhile, in the icy canyon of Giant Chasm. Roar! White Kyurem let out a dragon roar, unleashing a fierce snowstorm from its mouth. The biting wind and snow swirled violently. An ice-type blizzard. Necrozma, use Photon Geyser. Necrozma, in its dawn wings form, shifted back, small golden lights gathering at the tips of its crescent wings. Necrozma's signature move, Photon Geyser. A golden orb formed and then 2 massive beams of golden light shot through the air. Boom! The psychic-type Photon Geyser collided with the blizzard. It barely held off the snowstorm's onslaught, but just barely. This Kyurem must be over level 90. Dylan's eyes flickered. When he had first caught Necrozma, it was level 65. After 2 days of intense training, Necrozma had reached level 83, which was already impressive. But there was no way to re-challenge the Elite Four, and the trainers in the postgame didn't have higher levels. He couldn't even use rare candies to level up. Relying on wild Pokemon for experience made leveling up increasingly slow, especially since Necrozma required more experience than regular Pokemon. Boom! The collision of Photon Geyser and Blizzard caused a massive explosion, the shockwaves distorting the sky. Necrozma is amazing. Reshiram had already transformed into a cheerleader, marveling at how Necrozma managed to withstand White Kyurem's blizzard. Even Reshiram's strongest move, Blue Flare, couldn't stand up to White Kyurem's blizzard. You're one to talk. Dylan glanced at the magnificent white dragon. Now that it wasn't fighting, it had instantly used its fire to melt the frost off its body. It looked as pristine as ever, with no sign of injury, and its energy was high. Dylan seriously suspected that its earlier cry for help was just for show. Dylan, I really can't beat the ice dragon, Reshiram said innocently. But I didn't expect you to be struggling after just 2 moves. As long as Kyurem doesn't try to absorb you, you don't need to be afraid, Dylan said, exasperated. If Kyurem really did try to absorb Reshiram, Dylan would immediately have Necrozma intervene. If you could hold out a little longer and deal some real damage, with Necrozma's help, we'd have a much better chance of catching Kyurem today. Dylan had a clear reason for sending White Dragon into battle first. He wanted to see how powerful it was and hoped that if White Dragon could hold its own against Kyurem for a while, it could gather useful information about Kyurem's strengths and weaknesses. However, Dylan didn't expect that without the DNA splicers, Reshiram couldn't even last a few moves against Kyurem. It was clear that the gap between even legendary Pokemon like Reshiram and top-tier legendaries like Kyurem was far greater than Dylan had imagined.
It's okay, Dylan. Even though I can't beat Kyurem, next time we face Zekrom, leave it to me. Reshiram said, awkwardly turning its head.
Although its condition wasn't bad, it could still hold out for a bit longer in the fight if necessary.
But it really didn't want to battle Kyurem, there was no point in seeking a beating. Dylan's eyelid twitched.
He decided to lower his expectations for his ride and backup. He would have to rely on the real main force. At that moment, the aftermath of Photon Geyser and Blizzard was still surging violently.
So powerful.
Even from a safe distance, the powerful wind blew toward Dylan and Lily, leaving Lily speechless in awe. What they saw was a strange scene where golden and icy blue energy tides clashed, shattering the cliffs below due to the impact of the energy waves.
Terrifying. Roar. Clearly, White Kyurem wasn't satisfied with the situation. Its violent roar echoed as it charged into the sky.
In a flash, a streak of blue lightning passed over its body, and in the blink of an eye, a black-gray dragon Pokemon appeared.
Its massive, muscular body had arms and wings that were part ice and part black. It was none other than Black Kyurem. Beat Black Kyurem, Dragon/Ice type, Boundary Pokemon.
Ability, Terravolt. Signature moves, Freeze Shock, Outrage, Blizzard, Fusion Bolt, Dragon Claw, Scale Shot, Avalanche, Shadow Claw. Description: it is said to fight for the ideal world that Pokemon and humans will achieve in the future.
Black Kyurem. Dylan's Rotom Dex dutifully explained Black Kyurem's information. Kyurem has this form too? Lily was shocked. This meant that Kyurem had 3 forms, including its normal state. A Kyurem that can transform at will is truly amazing, Dylan couldn't help but marvel.
This was why it was called the strongest dragon on Earth.
Normally, in each generation of Pokemon, the third legendary could easily overwhelm the other 2. For example, Rayquaza could defeat both the land and sea titans without much effort. Giratina could suppress Dialga and Palkia, and Kyurem could effortlessly crush Reshiram and Zekrom. Even Zygarde's Pokédex entry mentioned its power surpassing Xernea's and Yveltal, and its ability Aura Break signified its advantage over the 2.
Necrozma could also easily overpower the Sun and Moon gods, and Eternatus was an exception. The Sword and Shield Kings were particularly strong against Eternatus, especially Zacian, whose strength was specifically geared towards Eternatus.
Steel types are immune to poison, Fairy types are immune to dragon, and coupled with the equally strong Zamazenta, what could Eternatus do?
Then there's the 9th generation's Terrapagos, with Koraidon and Miraidon clearly not on par with it.
Although Terrapagos didn't perform outstandingly, it was still the source of terastallization.
It's hard to judge the strength of third legendaries across regions, but a Kyurem that can transform freely is definitely not weak.
If Kyurem could absorb both Zekrom and Reshiram to return to its true dragon form, it would at least be on par with Ultra Necrozma. But for now, it wasn't there yet, and besides, Necrozma wasn't in its ultimate form either. We still have to fight.
Even though there's a level gap, Kyurem isn't in its perfect form yet, having not fully absorbed Zekrom and Reshiram, Dylan thought, narrowing his eyes. This ice dragon's greatest strength was its ability to freely switch between its black and white forms. Black Kyurem excelled at close combat, while White Kyurem specialized in ranged attacks. But Kyurem wasn't in its fused form with Zekrom and Reshiram, so Dawnwing's Necrozma might still stand a chance since it was fully fused with Lunala.
A legal 2v1.
That wraps up this part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released 1 day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.